Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Courtney Shavante here. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button and sign up for the notifications so you don't miss any videos from me. So today what we're doing is we're going to be creating some color shifting dominoes with an ombre effect. So we're starting out with our first color. We're going across the top row of each domino cavity and we're just going to add in that first color shifting hollow pigment. I do have these linked below. It's linked in most of my videos because I do use these pretty often. Now, when you do check it out on Amazon, you are going to see a couple of the reviews saying that the colors aren't there. I did find that all my colors were there. Now, I will say that they aren't labeled, so some of them do look very similar, so I can see why they may get there. But yeah, like I said, I think all the colors are there. A lot of people just may not have tested it out and seen the color shifts. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking my second color and I'm going through on the bottom row of those domino cavities, and I'm just meeting up into the lighter color and everything, making sure I brush that in and stuff near the line, so that way it just kind of blends together and everything, and there's not like an empty clear space. Make sure you don't leave any marks where the color shifting pigment isn't there, because it'll be really obvious when you remove your casting and everything. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I went ahead and got my purple mica powder. It's already into my measuring cup. I added in some of the resin right there, and I'm mixing it up really well, making sure that it's not all chunky or anything. I'm also adding in some alcohol ink with this as well, so that way I can get a nice rich deep purple, because I don't want it to be see-through, so I want it to be more opaque. Alright, so I'm stirring, make sure that's all mixed in and everything. Alright, I added in a little bit more mica powders. This one's a pinker one, so that way I can get the hue and everything I want. So I do mix my mica powders and everything. Most of my colors can't be repeated just because I do them on the spot and whatnot. But yeah, I'm just adding more stuff in so I can make sure I get the color I want. Now I do use my heat gun as well because it helps to thin out the resin. It heats it up. It makes the mixing a whole lot easier. It also helps remove those bubbles. So I'm going to pour this purple color in, filling each domino cavity about halfway. So you don't want to overfill it because we are going to be working with layers. So you're going to want to make sure that you add a little bit into each one, and pull out all the resin from your cup so you don't waste any. Then you want to use your tools, of course, to make sure that you get that nice even layer. Alright, you see me blowing with that heat gun. You see how it moves it around and gets it nice and even for me. And that's exactly what we need right here. Just making sure there's no empty spaces. And we're good to go. Alright, so now I'm prepping some more resin. What I'm doing with this layer is I'm adding in my glitter mix. So I just create this cute little galaxy glitter mix with some color shifting glitter and some stars and different things like that. I went ahead and poured it in there. I didn't want to fill it once again because there's going to be one more layer that's added onto here. But I did realize that that was not enough glitter for me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going through with more of the colors and everything that I used. So that way I can make sure that it has this really dope galaxy effect, because that's what we're going for with this set. I'm using my popsicle stick to go around and mix everything in so it's not all clumpy. I don't want all my glitter clumping up in one space, so that way it's like chunks of red, chunks of blue. I like it kind of distributed through there. I waited about an hour till it was about kind of gummy and everything. So that way I can go ahead and place my foil stars onto the tops. So these are just some holographic foils gold stars that I made. I cut them out and I'm able to, you know, kind of place them on top to and get a more layered 3D galaxy effect that I'm going for. I'm using my scissors to make sure that they are cut down to size because the dominoes are really tiny, so they are kind of difficult. I would suggest working quickly because, you know, you don't want this to set too much and you want to be able to push it down so that way the bubbles don't form underneath. I'm using my toothpick and just going through making adjustments right here. Alright, so now that that's dried and everything and cured, what I'm doing here is I'm just adding on a little bit of clear resin onto the top to completely seal everything in. And then that's going to be a nice clear top coat base, so that way it's nice and smooth. So I'm using my popsicle stick because there's not a lot of room left in the cavities. I don't want to overfill the cavities because then it will leak over into the next one, and it just makes it a whole lot more difficult when you do have to remove them from the mold, because then they'll be all stuck together. You're gonna have a little bit overage, but you want to decrease that as much as possible. So do make sure you are also working on an even surface because that does help out a lot. Use your popsicle stick. Make sure that resin is completely even and you're getting all around the corners and the edges and so too. And be sure to use the heat gun if necessary. Spray with alcohol to remove bubbles too. Don't forget. Alright, so now it's time for the fun part. What we're going to do here is we're just going to kind of bend our mold in the different ways and everything so that way we can release these dominoes from the rows. Now, see what I was talking about as far as the overages? They're going to kind of connect a bit with a lot of them. You're just going to pull those apart, bend them, and make sure you pull off the excess with your fingers. It's okay if there's a little bit left over because we're going to be sanding these down a little bit later as well. So that's what you're going to see me doing on here. I'm just going to go through and do that with all of these right quick. Alright, so now that all those are removed, I'm going to be taking this needle point squeeze bottle that I have right here along with some white acrylic paint that I got from my local craft store. You're going to fill this bottle up with paint. You don't have to fill it up a lot because the dominoes don't take a lot of paint. You're going to go ahead and screw that lid on there. Make sure that the paint is to where the nozzle is, so shake that paint down really well. Then from there, you're able to just go ahead and squeeze the paint into the dominoes. I find this to be the easiest method to fill the dominoes because it's not messy. You don't have to worry about cleaning any brushes or anything like that. And the needle point makes it super easy to get into those fine little details. And you're able to still maneuver and move the paint around a bit using that tip. So I would definitely, invest in these if you are going to be creating dominoes. So I'm just going through and doing this with all the dominoes and everything and repeating this step. I sped this up so that way you don't have to, sit through it with me and everything. But it does take a little while to fill each one. Make sure that you are, maneuvering that little needle tip around though, so that way you can make sure that you're getting it nice and even inside the holes. You want to get around the edges of the hole too. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and let these dry. Once they are completely dry, I want you to go ahead and take a damp rag, and we're just going to go ahead and, wipe off the excess paint from around those holes and everything from where you might have made those minor mistakes using that needle tip bottle filling in with that paint. If it's completely dry, you won't have to worry about the paint inside the etchings coming out, because the etching is going to hold that paint in there, so that way, it stays nice, clear, and crisp for you. Now you don't want your rag to be too wet though, so make sure you do wring it out very, very well. You don't want it leaving like a trail of wetness. You want it to still leave the domino mostly dry as you're wiping. So do be sure of that, because you don't want so much liquid to like pull up inside the holes that it does, re-wet the paint and everything, and then from there, it would get a little smudgy. Alright, so you're going to take the sanding block that you have, and you're just going to go around the edges of each domino, because earlier when we had those little pieces that we pulled off, it might have left some sharp edges on there. People are going to be playing with these with their hands. Kids like to build little things with dominoes. You don't want anyone getting cut, so this is just a little precautionary measure, and it will make sure that everything's safe for everyone to handle. Well, you're just going to do a couple swipes around each side. You don't need a lot because they're kind of small. Alright, once you're finished going through and sanding them down, you're going to go ahead and take your spray bottle and with alcohol, and you're just going to wipe those down. I did like a big swipe, and then I also wipe down the dust to make sure it doesn't pick up anymore, and then you see me picking them up by about 3 to 4s, and then I just wipe them down individually and make sure I get all that dust off and all that excess paint, and make sure that everything is nice and safe. Make sure you are wearing a mask through this, because some dust fly, and as you know, resin is not safe to inhale, so do make sure you are wearing your proper equipment and everything. Alright, so this will be our last step right here. After this is our grand reveal. Alright, so this is how they turned out. As you can see, they kind of go from a dark to light purple ombre color shifting thing we got going on. And we also, on the back of the dominoes, they have those different layers with the glitter and those hollow gold stars that I was telling you about, that is cutting into size and everything. I really love how these turned out. They're so pretty, and I'm in love. So I hope this tutorial was really easy for you guys to follow. Please leave any comments if you have any questions down below. I love to hear from you guys. Make sure you do follow all my socials. I am on Instagram and Facebook as well, so make sure you look for me, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye now.